Hey everyone, it is Bobby,
And Cedric.
and we are Black Married Abroad. This actually happens to be our second YouTube channel where we dive into situations, topics, issues, fun stuff about being married, being black, but also being abroad here. So this channel is for those of you who are already abroad or thinking about moving abroad as a married couple. Regardless of who you are, this community and this channel is for you. And today we are actually talking about something that we have seen quite frequently in the move abroad space, or the live abroad space, and that is it okay to live apart as married couple, as married?
Yeah,
Woo!
we've seen it.
Move this way.
We've even known we know some people that live apart because them and their spouse couldn't come to an agreement on either the location or moving all together. So one of them was like, "Well, I'm just gonna move because that's what I want to do. I want to be happy." And there's some YouTube groups out there.
I am not. Listen,
And
none of
I'm
it's
not
not
gonna say the
YouTube
names.
groups.
Well, there's groups on YouTube.
There's Facebook.
Facebook groups.
Yeah.
There's people out there talking about, basically there's summits out there that basically say, you got to do what you got to do to be happy.
I'm letting him off the leash on this channel. Remember, I told you that. But is that right? Is that wrong? Is there? I mean,
Right or wrong, in my opinion, it's if it comes down to that, I think, what's the point of being married? I mean, what is the point? I mean, marriage is something that when you do your vows, it's something you definitely do as part, and it's something that you're together. That's the whole purpose of you're living life together, right? So to say that I want to be happy, and for me to be happy, I want to live in Mexico, just using that as an example. My spouse doesn't want to do it, but it's, I only got one life to live. I want to be happy. It's selfish.
is it selfish?
Yes, it's selfish because marriage is not about being selfish, right?
No. Well, okay. So, uh, just to be clear, in a way, I agree with him in a way, but I'm also understanding that people are doing this, right?
Oh yeah.
This is something that's real, and we're talking to you about this because it is really something that's happening right now in the community, married communities, that people are now choosing to be or stay married but move wherever, live apart. And it doesn't necessarily have to be abroad, but that's what we're seeing. And there are a lot of people who are celebrating the choice or the decision that was made for the married parties to live apart. Now, we're not in anybody's marriage, we're not in anybody's relationship. Do you? Boo. But from the perspective of a person who's moving apart, maybe they've had a good conversation about this and they've set up a schedule, if you will, of being able to visit each other and
Let me say this.
commune together.
These groups, I literally just thought about
Why
this
do we
right
have to
now.
go back to the
But
group?
no, because I just thought about this right now.
Okay.
The groups that are pushing this
Not
aren't
pushing it,
they,
accepting
they're they're pushing it as
another option.
an option, right? They're not. These aren't coming from married people. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute, these aren't coming from married. I haven't seen one married couple on YouTube or any other group saying, hey, if your spouse ain't happy or don't want to go with you or whatever, you go ahead and go anyway. Do you know any married I'm just being real. Do you know any married couples that are saying that?
No, and I don't think any married couple would say that. I I think it's an individual choice, and so that's why probably you're not hearing it. But I do know that it exists and it's happening, and we're seeing it. And everybody's marriage looks different. The thing is that how are you supposed to, as a married couple, I think this would be the question, able to reach and bridge your vision, dreams, and goals as a married couple. I'm not talking about individually because that sounds like an individual choice when you are saying he can be here or she can be here and I can be here. I don't know how that's getting you to a joint goal. I hear it getting you to a individual goal, which we are individuals who happen to also come together to build something together, right? So I think that I feel that there's some difficulty in being able to do that as a married couple being apart.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to just not wanting to work at the relationship because,
You think so?
oh yeah, because you it's something that you have to. Marriage is hard,
It is
and
hard.
it takes work and it's ongoing work, and it's easy to say my spouse don't want to do this, so let me go ahead and just go because my sanity, and you make all these excuses for yourself, right? It's harder to say, you know what, no, I'm gonna stay and work, we're gonna work this out, even if it takes years and convincing and all kinds of other things that people are talking about, to stay and do that, or some other options where we stay but we travel, right? We maybe we travel together and but we don't move, and we slowly work up to that.
But what if it's the other party who's just absolutely unequivocally saying, no, I like where I'm at right now. I like being here. I've built a life here. I have given everything that I got to make it to where we are today, and you want me to just get up and go.
Well, to be honest, then you have a choice to make, because if you're not willing to compromise or heed to that because this is the person that you chose to marry, then you probably need to get a divorce.
Don't support divorce. But no.
I
I mean
seriously.
maybe there is an underlying issue there because from the space of making a commitment to one another,
Right.
the commitment that we made to one another was that we are going to work together to build this thing.
And couples are saying, okay, that's what we're doing, right? We discussed this and we agree that you're going to go abroad and I may come see you once every few months, or
Or
you may
vice
come
versa.
back and all that stuff. So to them, that's the compromise. But that's, to me, it's it's just like, I mean, you might as well be divorced and just be friends, because what is the point of that? How is that building your marriage at all?
Maybe the break.
Okay.
Maybe the break is what's needed to promote. I don't know, promote love. I don't know. Chime in, guys. Chime in below and let us know your thoughts on this, because it's an individual choice. We get it. A married couple's decision, but the question to ask is it allowing your marriage to be fruitful, to decide that one party is going to be living somewhere else and the other party living somewhere else? Is that promoting a fruitful relationship long term? Now, we get it for people who have to travel for business, or going to set stuff up so that the other person can meet them. We understand all of that. And we have had to do that a couple of times with us raising our kids and stuff, where your job called you XYZ. So we understand that part. And that is that there's a means to an end there, and that communication is because of income related, so that we can move forward to do something. or a person's moving abroad to say, I'm just going to get this set up, right? For us, there's a means to an end for you to build something together. So I get that part. But just to be like, boo, you don't want to, you don't want to move with me.
It's funny because I see the pattern how it starts, right? It starts with a sabbatical. Oh, girl, just take a sabbatical.
Oh my gosh, he can call him girl. Hey, girl.
Oh, girl, just take a sabbatical. And I mean,
it could be all boys. Just take a sabbatical.
No, but I'm talking about the groups that are pushing it. It's girl, just take a sabbatical, and take a month and travel here and get yourself right and do all this stuff, and then it leads to something else. Then it leads to something else. Then it leads to a couple of months. And then next thing you know, well, they still don't want to go. Just go ahead and move because you got to get your mind right. And it's just it's
but
leading
they may
down.
have to get the mind.
They
right.
may have to, but it's not. I don't see how that's really helping your marriage. You're supposed to be working through it as a couple because I'm telling you like this: if you get abroad and you can't work through these issues, it's just gonna be you're gonna end up divorced anyway.
Correct. At the end of the day, yes.
So, you might as well deal with it before you start doing all these different things.
But I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready to get out of here. I'm ready to move. And you're happy. You're content being where you are. Yeah. You like it. I get it. I understand that. This is where you have decided, right, that the road ends and stops right here. You made it. You got the t-shirt and the hat to match. But I want to continue enjoying this life and exploring and seeing new things. If I was to tell you that,
it sounds like we need to do some traveling. And that would be my suggestion, would be to travel and try to get the spouse's mindset into that, because especially for men, like if you're talking about let me just uproot and just move, like wait a minute now, like you said, I've built this, and that that's typically what happens, right? We've built this life, and now you're saying you want to do something else. So rather than go all in, just take vacations and just kind of subtly do it. But you have to work it out as a couple. You have to, as part of your marriage, like any other thing in your marriage, you got to stick with it and work it out.
And compromise.
Yeah, and compromise. And that may mean that you don't get to move at that particular time or when you want to move.
Or let's say this. Is it possible to create or come together and have this real in-depth list or thought process of reasoning behind why it's important to you? Because I think sometimes in the space, we may see it as a fly-by-night thing. You just feeling like it because you saw somebody else do it.
Absolutely.
Or you went on this vacation and now you're thinking we could totally uproot and do this. You saw an article or other people are doing it. The FOMO, is real or whatever. But that might not necessarily be the case. It may have been your heart's desire to have wanted to move someplace else. You may be even tired of what's going on where you are, and you're like, I can't do this anymore. We've had people that we've heard have moved even for the mental peace, and the less stress of what's going on where they are, and just having a more peaceful quality of life, health purposes and things like that. These are things that you need to discuss with your spouse, right? You need to discuss with your significant other the real issue behind why you are wanting to do so. It is an uncomfortable conversation to have and a hard topic and a hard process moving abroad. It's not easy. But if you really want to and you're really saying this is what you really want to do, you need to come to the table prepared, because some people need to see it.
Yeah.
Right? Some people need to see the numbers. Some people need to see how this works. Some people are going to even need you to take ownership in starting this ball rolling because they can't see it, right? And So if you come at it from that perspective, that might also be beneficial, and vice versa. The person who wants to stay,
Same list.
you need to come up with a list, boo. You can't just tell me because Netflix is here. Netflix is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me just because you just bought this new truck and you enjoy. You gotta come at us. You know?
Yeah, that's the point, because it always seems like it comes from the person that wants to leave or move, got to do all the convincing. And it works both ways.
We are a partnership, okay? We are building something. And now that we're building something and we're choosing to either expand that or tear this business down, right, and build elsewhere, you have to come to the table with plans. That's just how it is. And I'm not saying to treat your marriage as a business, though you might want to in this. You're going to have to come to the executive table and have the conversation and make it make sense. And even to the nitty gritty of how, from a financial perspective, we're going to do this, the timeline around it. You say you want to move, do the work.
Yeah, and you
say you want to stay?
Yes, and you have to surround yourself with people that are doing it, that are, if you're married, people that are married. Because surrounding yourself with a bunch of single people.
Oh, let me go.
Surrounding yourself with a bunch of single people is not going to be healthy, because at the end of the day, they'll help you in the beginning.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's all about a single person. It's all about, you know what? Just do it, because you only got one life. Every single person I've ever met says the same thing when it comes to that type of thing. It's like, you know what? You only got one life. You only got this. That's why they're single.
Oh.
I'm just saying. You can't be you
No.
can't be married in single groups trying to glean all this stuff thinking it's going to be beneficial for your marriage. It's just not going to. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You can eat the fish and spit out the bones type of things, but for the most part, you can find yourself going down this slippery slope that you don't even realize, right? Mm-hmm. And that's with anything in life, right? So if you go hang around with a bunch of drugs, it's like you say that with the marriage, oh, I can do it, but you wouldn't say that to your child. If your child's hanging around a bunch of drug addicts, you're going to say, oh, I know you don't do drugs, but it's okay to hang around with them. No, you're going to say, you know what? You don't need to hang with them, because eventually they're going to pull you down that path. It's the same thing with hanging around with in these single forums and stuff with all these single people. Yeah, it'll be good in the beginning. The information is good and all that.
Great information.
But what's going to end up happening is you're going to start slowly drifting.
Well, how can you apply a lot of the things, especially if you're married, and especially if the other person is not ready to make that commitment? How can you take what you've gleaned and then impress upon this information to your significant other? Who, I mean, seriously, if you can't do that. You can't do that. It has to be something where you're both involved, you're both immersing yourself in the content, you're both gleaning from, whether you're doing scouting trips, whether you're doing house sitting, whatever it is that you're doing to prepare yourself for this process. The other party has to come along for the ride. It cannot be, boo, let me tell you the experience I had, because now that's secondhand, and the experience doesn't come over the way you anticipated because of the fact that you partook in it and the other party didn't. It is a joint effort. And I think what you're trying to say is you can't jump in the pool and then leave the other person sitting on a what do you call it, the little chair.
Yeah, I mean,
waiting on the journey.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
lounge chair.
It's like I said, you can't be the drug addict thing is a perfect analogy to me, because everybody can relate to that. You're not going to send your child out hanging out with a drug addict just because drug addict's smart and he knows about computers. and you want your son to learn about computers, but
Is that a
Harry
good
Harry the
analogy?
drug addict over here, he's smart with computers, but he a crackhead. You know,
Is
so
that the same
yeah,
thing?
it's the same thing. So you're gonna let your son go hang with Harry the crackhead to learn about computers, and eventually he gonna end up doing.
Now we're not saying anybody's crackheads here. We're not saying anything of that nature, and we're not saying that these, forums or these videos are not helpful or beneficial, because they are indeed helpful. They are indeed beneficial. They do have great information.
They do, but what I'm saying is you have to be very careful on navigating these things, because if the more and more you get in these groups and exclude your significant other or bring them in secondhand, the further and further you're going to start drifting apart, and might not even realize it.
Right.
But the further and further your marriage is going to start drifting apart.
Well, because you're growing.
Exactly, and the other person is just sitting there getting it secondhand because they don't want to do it in the first place.
Or you're getting fed and then they're getting the crumbs. So they may be becoming malnourished while you
bring home all the leftovers.
You're getting energy, from it, and you're building up your muscle, and the other person is weakening. That's not the type of marriage that you want. And we're saying this because there are people who are married who are doing this thing. There are people who have really great relationships or are trying to work towards building a great relationship, because let's be real, you have your days, you have your moments. Every day is not I love you. Every day is not that. But you are trying to build something here, and you want to be with that person, and you want to experience this life abroad with that person, and you are willing to do what it takes to make that happen and work towards that, and not wanting to maybe say, you know what it is, I'm gonna let them do them, I'm gonna do me, and we'll meet somewhere.
Yeah, and you got to be, you got to be open. And when we're saying married couple, we're talking about all married couples,
Yes.
right? Same sex couples, they doing a thing. So get with married people.
Get with married people. I don't
Get
care
with
who they
married people,
You need to
because they are
strengthen.
doing their thing.
Absolutely.
And you will be probably better off than
Absolutely.
you can imagine.
It's called communication at the end of the day. Communication and having a heart for one another, and knowing that you have, although you're individuals, you have come together to create and build something of substance and value, and you want to maintain that. That's really what it is at the end of the day. I know you want to say how you gonna get your groove on if you in two different countries, but
I'm not even going to touch that, because you already know. Let's be real.
Oh,
you already know what happens.
We've already been over this video is long enough.
You already know what's going on. Don't sit up here and fool yourself like, oh, we're going to get together and nothing. Okay. All right.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, some people can.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Well,
On that note.
Since we have rambled enough, and really sincerely from our heart is that we really want to help couples to be able to do this thing abroad. There's so many different topics, discussions to be had, candid moments, but it all stems from wanting to be able to be together, grow together, and build this thing together. And I think for us, it's hard trying to see you building something when one of you is the one building or setting where the place is being built and the other one's gone. It's hard. It's hard being together. So it's hard doing this thing apart like that and making that decision. But the real question is, do you want to be together? Do you still want to be together?
Yeah, at the end of the day, do you still want to be together?
Do you still want to be together? Is that really important?
Do you want to put in the work?
And I know I'm the first person to hate to say this, that, giving up the dream of living abroad, because definitely, but don't give up the dream. Just see how y'all can work together to make it happen. as hard as that is, even if you got to ask the question, do you love me enough?
Uh-oh.
Do you love me enough?
To stay here and not move?
Or to leave
Oh, okay.
and not stay? We got to make some compromises.
Mm.
Deuces.